Hello everybody, welcome back to another video, and today we are talking about Sonic the Hedgehog 3, the latest film in the Sonic movie franchise, which is like the first movie franchise that I've covered in its entirety on this channel, which is kind of insane. But I've reacted to the last two trailers for this movie also, because this movie has had trailers before release that were hyped up a lot, so I decided to react to them because I am kind of a Sonic fan. I don't know, I'm mixed on the movies, but I like some of the games, especially the 2D ones. I'm a big fan of the 2D games. I think the 3D ones are a little messy, but that's besides the point. We're talking about the movies here. But so, yeah, last night, opening night, I saw Sonic the Hedgehog 3 in theaters, and I thought it was good. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I thought it was a good movie. I thought it was entertaining. Overall, I liked some of the references, and I liked some of the character work and stuff. It's not a great movie. It's not a perfect movie, but it's fun. It's entertaining. It'll entertain the family for the most part for a couple hours, which is what these movies are largely meant to do. They're PG-rated movies aimed at families, but still, I think it'll entertain everyone in the family as long as like the adults don't hate the humor too much or are fans of Sonic. But to get more into specifics, we'll start to talk about the movie. No spoilers, though. No spoilers. We're not talking about spoilers yet. So, in the no spoiler section, I will say the biggest flaw this movie has, or the two biggest flaws this movie has, is one, the annoying humor from the first two movies is back, and it's still pretty strong. And it's still pretty stupid. Like, I don't know. It's not the worst humor ever, but it's just pretty lazy and generic and really annoying, which is something that bugs me out the first two, and it's just as bad in this one as it is in those, which is saying a lot because those movies are pretty annoying with their humor. And then also, the human characters are not nearly as involved this time, but still, the human characters are kind of annoying at points. Their jokes are some of the worst in the movie, and I got really tired of them pretty quick. And overall, like I said, I just find them to be like the weakest link of these movies. So, thankfully, they're here less, but they still are here. So that's obviously a con. And then otherwise, I don't know. Otherwise, the movie's pretty solid. I think the pacing works fine. It's not like amazing. It's not like extremely well paced, but it's pretty solid. It's got pretty solid pacing overall. The action is pretty cool. I like the action quite a bit. The vocal performances from Schwartz and Reeves are both really good. And then Carey's doing decent also. He's a cool pick for Eggman, but the same issue I have with the first two movies applies here, where I think he's almost hamming it up too much at points. Like certain points, it's just a Jim Carrey character instead of Dr. Eggman, which is a little boring and a little lame. Because I like I said, I'm a fan of some of these games, so I want a little more Eggman, a little less Carey out of him, but still, he's solid. And then, yeah, everyone else is doing pretty good, too. They're not as notable, but they're still doing a good job. The VFX are pretty good overall, especially for the budget of, like, 120, which sounds like a lot. 120 million. Sounds like a lot, yeah. But given the budget of other blockbusters recently, that's not super high. Like I said, it looks good for that. Like, I'd be a little more questioning if it was like 200 million, because there are still some very off lighting points and stuff. But overall, it looks solid. It looks good enough for a Sonic movie. And then the score is decent. It's not as egregiously like lame and uninspired as the soundtrack as the score for the second movie, which literally stole a track from Ant-Man and the Wasp, which was very funny. But it's still pretty basic, but it's a little better than 2, so I'll give it that credit, and it's fine for the movie it's in. Like I said, this isn't a movie that has to have super high expectations, so the score just being fine is fine, because it's supposed to be just a fine family movie. So it works. It's overall, like, okay. But yeah, so overall, the movie is fun, it's entertaining, it's got good action, it's got some heart, it's got some fun performances. Overall, despite its awful humor, it's overall a fine movie. It's a fun movie. I think a lot of like diehard Sonic fans will love this movie, which fair enough. I'm not like a diehard Sonic fan. Like I said, I'm not a fan of a lot of the 3D games in particular, which a lot of the more recent ones. So overall, like I said, it's fine. I enjoyed it for what it was. It's not like one of the greatest movies of the year or the last few years. I remember when I initially reviewed Sonic 2, I gave it like a 4.5 or something, or a 5 even, which is kind of crazy. I wouldn't go anywhere near that far now. I think that one's like a 3 out of 5. It's a fine movie. It's okay. It got some really cool references and stuff, which I think won me over with that first one. With that first viewing, but that second movie has a lot of issues, and I think this movie overall tones it down. Like I said, I've calmed down on the movies now, so that doesn't mean this is a 5. But yeah, overall, the movie's fine. It's decent. I'd give it like a 3.5 out of 5, probably. It's a solid movie. If you like Sonic, check it out. If you've got kids, check it out. So on and so forth, as you'd expect from a family movie based off a big IP. But overall, yeah, like I said, it's a fun movie. It's entertaining. Go watch it if you're interested. If you're not interested, don't go watch it. I don't think it's going to win you over. But so now, we are going to talk about spoilers a little bit. Not a ton, but there's a couple of things that I got really excited about that I do want to bring up here. Some of the coolest stuff in this movie does happen in the third act and the end credits scenes. Super Shadow is really cool and really fun. It's nice to see him on the big screen in this way. He looked cool. Overall, it's just a very fun appearance. And then with the mid-credit scene, had me pretty excited. At first, I thought it was just going to be Metal Sonic, which I already thought was a really cool thing. Like, Amy's like my favorite character of the franchise. And Amy being there was big for me. Like, I didn't lose my mind, like, super hard, but I was still excited about it. She's not like my favorite video game character, but she's still a fun one. And it was still exciting to see her here. And then a couple of other spoiler things I want to talk about that are a little less positive. I'm not a big fan of how they faked out Tom's death in the movie, how they had like a fake out death, but then he was actually fine. Like, I was kind of interested in them going, oh yeah, we're going to kill Tom. So I thought that was actually kind of interesting. That was a decent move because it kind of surprised me. But then no, he was fine at the end, which was kind of boring and stale, of a character dying, quote unquote, air quotes here, and then just being fine at the end of the movie. It kind of bugged me because that's a big cliche for kids movies especially, but I don't know, it was a motivation thing or whatever, so I understand it, I guess. I just think it would have been more interesting to actually kill him, but I get it, it's a franchise and he's one of the likable human characters, so they got to keep him around or whatever. And then yeah, I think the ending is a little mixed. Like I said, I'm not a fan of Tom being back. Obviously, we know Shadow comes back from the second end credit scene, but then showing him dying, also in air quotes, was very weird because I knew he was coming back, and then also quote unquote killing Eggman, I think, is going to be undone in the next movie, just like it was this time. But we'll see. But yeah, overall, I don't know. Like I said in my spoiler-free section, this is a fun movie, and I'm sure if you've made it this far, that you've most likely seen the movie, because that's the only way you would have been interested in hearing a video about Sonic 3 like this. And I'm sure you loved the movie. Like I said, some of the excitement stuff was very fun. As a fan of the games, I still got into a lot of that stuff. I didn't let it fool me as much this time as with the second one, but it still got me some. And overall, yeah, it was a fun, entertaining time with a Sonic fan. Not a great movie, but it was a fun experience. But anyway, I think that's all I have for this video. I think I've covered everything I want to. So yeah, this is me signing off. I hope to see you all in the next video. Peace out.